Okay, let's run.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks! What are you?
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to And I Quote, the weekly show where we introduce you to content creators of all shapes and sizes that join us from any and all corners of the nerd universe. We find out more about them by taking your questions. I am your host, Ryan of Nerd Culture, and our guest on this episode is someone who has been waiting very respectfully and patiently to come on this program for a very, very long time. Please welcome the El Jefe, El Capitan, indie comic creator of Worthy Chaos Comics, because there's a lot of chaos that seems to be worthy of her attention. Please welcome Corissa Grant to the stage. Corissa, finally, you have come to And I Quote. How does it feel?
It's everything I dreamed it would be.
Fantastic. We you know, in the words of my good friend JB, also known as James Bond, we aim to please. So if you are just joining us, this is And I Quote. Don't forget to like and share this with everyone you know. If you have any questions for Corissa, the leader of Worthy Chaos Comics, by all means, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Our producer is going to be keeping an eye on it as we go throughout the course of this program. But in the meantime, sit back, relax, and enjoy this show. So, Corissa, when were you introduced to the world of comics?
Mainstream comics was the 90s. I think I was in high school or right before high school, and my older brother took me to a comic book store because he's a weird older brother that dragged me everywhere. I saw Ghost Rider and fell absolutely in love with it and thought it was the coolest thing I had ever seen. So I started reading Ghost Rider, and I still have them all that I have from the 90s. Then I honestly can say after high school, I probably didn't touch a mainstream comic until, and then when I started making comics, I got really into the indie world, and now I have like a ton of those, probably more than mainstream. So, but yeah.
The long boxes, short boxes, they all tend to fill up after a while. Well, that's just dandy. And Carlin Stewart says, I'm raising my Ryan Permison flag. I'm here. Well, we're happy that you're with us here, Carlin. If you have any questions for the guest of honor, because it's not me, it's Corissa. Feel free to ask her anything. It's an open book, no pun intended. With that being said, who are some of your favorite comic writers or artists, past or present, Corissa?
Artists or writers? Writers would be Rob Matari and Lori Carcatello. Yeah, the Catella. And me. I'm one of my favorite. Artist. Oh, there's a ton, but my artist, obviously, Jonas DaCosta. I love Rob Matari's artist too. Great artwork. He's gonna do a cover for me. Also, Jeremy Rampak, which did Resident Evil interior art. He did a cover for me for issue 8 or chapter 1 of book 2 for January, and he's working on the hardcover cover for book 2. It's phenomenally detailed and just absolutely amazing. It's one of the most money I've ever spent on a cover, and it's just inks, and it's just amazing. It's just phenomenal, and I'm so glad he did it for me. I was trying to find artists that were from my, because mine's like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Supernatural, Resident Evil, Evil Dead, Good Omens, and Silent Hill. So I wanted like an artist from each. So I got Resident Evil, I got Evil Dead, which is Kevin Sharp, who did the interior art for Army of Darkness comic. I got Cara Moline, which is the interior artist for the Buffy comics, the later Buffy comics. And I'm still working on the Supernatural because 2 didn't answer. 1 is busy, but I'm going to keep bothering them. And 1 has kind of got back to me, but nothing's set. So we'll see. And Silent Hill never got back to me. I wanted Tristan Jones that did Downpour, which is amazing art. So we'll see. It might take a while, but yeah, working on it.
The That's a lot of horror. But anyway, hey, listen, it's spooky season. So if you want to get your spooky season freak flag on, knock yourself out. Because Lord knows there's plenty of scary movies to go around for everybody. And I'm not just talking about the ones that came in the 60s and the 70s or the ones that came in there's a plethora of all kinds of different genres. So that's all well and good, but I'll just stand over here in the other corner. So
Like Blair Witch.
I know, right? Well, I don't know about that. Because nobody puts baby in a corner.
I knew that was coming.
Nobody does. Nobody does. And if you do that, then you and I have a problem. So let's just leave that right there. So when did you specifically decide to become an indie comic book writer?
So I wrote this with a co-writer while role playing. And I role played for I had the idea for 11 years before role playing, and then finally I found someone to role play with, Jessica, and we hit it off. We started writing, and by the time we were like 5, when we just completed 5 novels, and I'd put them in order and I edited them, and I was like, we have 5 novels, we should probably do something with it because it's an awesome story and we're really obsessed with it. So I was trying to see if I could publish the novels, but I knew it wouldn't work because it's written in RP format and I didn't think it would work. So we got an editor, and the editor says you have to merge the entire story. So I was like, oh, screw that. I don't want to ruin the story. So I was going to print it just for us, like through lulus.com, get us each a copy. And I thought I'll celebrate and get us a cover made, for our comic. So I was looking for an artist, and I was like, these are kind of cartoony. Do you want realistic or do you want cartoony? And she's like, cartoony's fine. It's like a light bulb went off, and I was like, oh, if you don't mind cartoony, I could do a comic book. And I said the infamous words, how hard can it be? And it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. So yes, it is not easy. So last year I decided to try it. I got an artist. I spent a fortune and it failed. $5,000 thrown out the window. Did not like how it turned out. They stole $3,000, tried to fix it for $2,000. I was like, screw it. So I printed it, like 50 copies, and I sold like 30. And then I got a new artist, not a nudist artist, a new artist. And he was so amazing. Jonas DaCosta, it was his first time working on a comic. Now he's a freaking seasoned master because he's been doing, this is our issue 7. But he wound up redoing one for me. So it was worth losing the $5,000 to find him because his work has gotten so much better too. So like phenomenally better.
Well, if I had a bag full of 5Gs, I'd probably spend it at New York Comic Con, which happened a week or so ago. So congrats to those of you who survived the craziness that's New York Comic Con in the Javits Center of New York City, because that place can be a zoo, from what I've been told. I can't comment or speculate because I've never physically been in the building.
I've been to New York City because I was born in Long Island, but I have never been there. No, well, wait, where is it?
In the Javits Center, New York Comic Con. It's in October normally.
No, I don't think I've been to that one. If I did, I don't remember. But I mean, I definitely haven't been to New York Con. But I was wondering if I've been in the building, and I don't think so.
No Javits Center for you. All right, that's fine. So. Hey, you win some, you lose some. It's okay. It's fine. Sometimes I don't even remember where I was yesterday.
Yeah, I was on the couch, but
yeah, you were on the couch. Yeah. It's like that line from that movie. She's like, "Where were you last night?" Or so long ago, I don't remember. Well, am I gonna see you tonight? I don't make plans that far ahead. I'm sorry, I can't help it. That's one of the greatest movies of all time. If you know where that quote comes from, let me know in the comments. Let me know in the chat. Be curious to hear your thoughts. With that being said, what are some of your favorite comic book based movies or TV series, past or present?
The Crow. My Crow is my all-time favorite.
That's a good call.
I had the graphic novel in 1993, and I still have it. And when I started writing a script, I pulled it out to be like a little, emotional support graphic novel. And I used to sketch from it. I used to draw things and blah, blah, blah. And I finally met him June? I don't know. June or July this year. I brought it to him and I said, I've been waiting 30 years for this. And he said, James O'Barr said, I'm glad I didn't die on you. And I was like, me too. So he signed it, and I was going to have him sign both my issue 1s of mine, because he'll sign his for free, which I didn't know. And that was great. But then I brought my 2 number 1s and I put them in front of them to sign. So he signed one, and I don't think the agent could have taken the money fast enough from my hand. And I was gonna have him sign the second one, but he pointed to it and he goes, "Is this for me?" And I was like, "Yes." I was like, "Yes, you can have it." So he'll probably never read it, but I know that James O'Barr for at least a couple of hours held on to possession of my comic, and that was enough to make my day. Also, my character is named after him, Draven. So not him, but Eric Draven from The Crow. So
Wow, that is fantastic, because no matter how dark things get, it can't rain all the time. My gosh, man, that's a good film. I didn't realize how good that film was until I sat down and did a rewatch, because I saw it many, many eons ago when I was a bit of a Padawan before I became a Jedi. And then once I got smarter and wiser, as your movie tastes, change as you get older, because one thing may be cool when you're a little kid, and then you grow up and realize, ooh, that doesn't hold up very well.
It's still cool.
But when you look at The Crow, it's definitely one of the better comic book movies that's ever been made. So my hat's off to the cast, the crew, obviously the late great Brandon Lee for playing Eric Draven. Great film. And hey, it's spooky season, so why not go back and revisit that? It's.
I'm going to watch it today now. Thanks.
Oh, great. Well, you're welcome. And I actually had the pleasure of meeting James O'Barr myself. I had him sign my The Crow Blu-ray. So
nice.
Which was nice.
Yeah, he signs his own. Like, I had 2 comics from him, the graphic novel and another one that I had picked up. I didn't know he signed them for free. That was pretty cool. I was like, this is like 30 years old. He goes, doesn't matter. I was like, all right. So signed it for free.
Gotta love that stuff. And Carlin Stewart is commenting on what you just said about meeting him. He says, good story.
Why, thank you. I was very thrilled to meet him. I wanted him to do a commission for me so bad, and I was too nervous to ask in person, and I've emailed and written to him and his agent. They never got back to me, and that is probably the most expensive cover I would lay down money for and get a loan for if I had to, but I don't know. I haven't been able to get in contact with him, so if I see him in person again, I'm going to ask him, but I don't know. I was like, I don't even care if it's a sketch. I'll still print it as a cover. I don't care.
There you go. Well, you got this. You only miss 100% of the shots you don't take, so you got to take your shot.
Yeah.
You got to do it. You got to make everything count, right? So,
Brian.
And for those of you wondering what The Crow is going on here, we're talking with Corissa Grant of Worthy Chaos Comics on this much anticipated episode of And I Quote. If this is your first time here, welcome. Don't forget to like and share this with everyone you know. If you have any questions for Corissa, by all means, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Whether you were joining this live on the replay, thank you so much for being here. What would you say are some of the rewards about being an indie comic book writer?
I love seeing my characters on the page. I love seeing what I pictured in my head on the page, which is really nice. I love, love, love the community. I think everyone's absolutely amazing. My in-laws were over and weirdly excited about the comic, and they were saying, "Oh, you must have so much competition." I was like, "No." I was like, all of my fellow creators have been so supportive since day one, since I first started. I wouldn't be here without them. I didn't even know Kickstarter was a thing. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. Still don't really, but yeah. So the people and being with my writer, being with my co-writer and my artist, who my artist is not just a paid. He gets paid, but he's not just paid. He's part of the team. He loves the characters and. He misses them when he's away, which is really weird. And I made fun of him because he was away for a month. And like my husband says, don't bother him while he's gone. Don't write to him. Don't bug him. I was like, all right, fine, whatever. And then 2 weeks in, he writes me. He says, I miss drawing the story. I was like, well, yeah, I'm having withdrawals from the pages. So it's really nice to have someone like him as my artist. And I hope he sticks around for all 45 issues of this book. So yeah.
45? Why not 50?
45 are already written. Yeah, the 45 completes series 1. It's already written. Series 2 is about 10 issues in. Then, of course, we have 40 issues of the spinoff already completed. We have a prequel that's 10 issues or more in, and then series 2 of the spinoff is about 5 issues in. So yeah, there's over 100 issues written of this. Yeah, we passed the 1 million word mark like 2 months ago.
Really?
Yeah.
That's just.
Yes! That's awesome!
I mean, with those kind of numbers that you're dropping, I got to tell you, you're like the Kevin Feige of this whole universe, because you've planned this out all the way to the end of the century. So, well, one of the few people, if any, who sometimes people look and say, I'm going after that truck. And their friend looks at them and says, how? I don't know. I'm making this up as I go. You don't make it up as you go. You had a plan. Like you're like Eric Kripke and like some of the other show creators that we've had over the decades that just have a plan and they go after it and they don't let anything or anyone for that matter, whether it's Tony Todd looking you dead in the eye and saying, death doesn't like to be cheated. It's just, man, forget about Final Destination. You're going to conquer all 30 levels of Final Destination. You're not going to die. So
I was hoping.
well done. Well
I
done.
think
Allie Larder would be very proud of you. I mean, she and a whole bunch of other people who have gone through the horror thriller genre would be.
And she was Claire Redfield, so she's got both love for me because Claire Redfield from Resident Evil, which if you don't know is my favorite character, and I RP'd her for 15 years, and that's why I'm actually writing because of her. So yeah. Even though I was a little mad, she was blonde in there and she wasn't supposed to be. I don't blame her for that. But later on, she had red hair, so it's all right. But yeah. I RP'd as Claire Redfield from Resident Evil for 15 years, and that's actually how I started writing. So,
wow, that's just that's amazing. So, on the what is known as the flip side of the coin, what are some of the biggest challenges about being an indie comic book writer?
Paying for it. I have put 9,000 was pretty much thrown away almost immediately. The 5,000 from one artist, 4,000 from another artist, which might be able to be saved eventually. I will look into that. But so far, my first 2 issues. So technically, everyone's, you've written 9, you've gotten 7 issues out. Technically, I have 9 completed issues because the first 2 just didn't work out. It's not like I did a campaign and they failed. It wasn't up to my standards, and I didn't want to really do much with it because it wasn't really what I wanted. So money is the biggest. Obviously marketing would be my second biggest. I mean, it's so hard to get the story out there, and how much to put in each comic book. I mean, for book 2, I hired a colorist and I hired a letterer. My artist used to do it all, which obviously made it a little less risky. Now it's like 1,000 more per issue. But I'm trying to level it up, and try to each book set up, hopefully, a higher standard. So, everything's a risk. You have no idea how it's going to react. My Kickstarters do pretty good for being in for a year. I tried to give advice to somebody the other day who had dragons and half naked chicks, and I was like, "How are you not rich?" I thought that they were new. They didn't have a lot on their Kickstarter. It was a couple of hundred, and I was like, they've been doing it for weeks, and I was like, I can give you some pointers. You need this art. You have no dragons on your pages. You have a dragon. And I had no idea that they had been doing this for like 6 years. So I was like, I felt bad. But my advice was valid. So hopefully it'll work out. And I think he might take some of the advice. I don't know. It's hard to give advice because you don't want to overstep your bound. You don't want to be like, you know what you're doing. The story looked great. I just personally thought it should be doing at least 40 times better than it was. Good art, good story. But I was like, you have absolutely no merch. I'm queen of merch, so obviously I was against that. And I was like, you don't have to be stupid crazy like me and go into debt with your merch, but you need some merch. And then you need some pages of your dragons. You have 2 pages of 2 guys talking. Not a lot of people are going to care. You need to show the girl and the dragon. And yeah, that's my personal opinion. But, and you have to get on podcasts. So maybe he'll contact you soon. I told him, I said, have you done any podcasts? And he's like, I've done a couple. I was like, I do 20 to 40 per campaign. He's like, that's a lot. I was like, yes. And still not enough. So more podcasts. But yeah, I'll send him your way. See if he'll get on there.
Well, when you have a dragon and beautiful women being included in the story, I mean, who can say no to that? I mean, there's a little indie film called Shrek that had a dragon and Princess Fiona, who was voiced by Cameron Diaz.
They're making another one, by the way.
Oh, are they making a 6th one? Or 5th? Is it
5th?
5th?
5th, yeah.
6.
Yeah. The Puss in Boots showed it at the end that they were on their way to what is it?
Happily Ever After, Land After, whatever it's called.
So yeah, from what I heard, they are in the process of making it or writing it or doing something, but there is going to be a 5th one, which Cameron Diaz has been wanting for years. Like, she never wanted it to end.
Isn't that because she has nothing better to do?
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, Cameron, I've known you for how many decades are we going on now, Cameron Diaz? I think it's, what is it, almost 30 years? Because I think next year is the 30th anniversary of The Mask, which is where she made her first appearance. So, Cameron, just going out on more auditions, honestly. Well, not now, but when the strikes are completely done and Hollywood's corrected its course for a lot of people that deserve money, by the way.
Yeah.
Cameron, just go on auditions like everyone else. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't just say, "Hey, I'm excited. I never wanted Shrek to." Well, Cameron, we know why. Underhandedly, we know why. But at the same time, there are other projects that you could be auditioning for, hypothetically. So
I know that the strike had
the writers' portion has been settled, but the actors are still on strike,
Oh,
and for
okay.
good reason. So,
Okay. I knew something was
yeah, the
somewhat
writers
better.
reached a deal, but the SAG-AFTRA is still going on.
What do the actors want?
They want to be paid fair wages.
I wasn't sure if it was
Well, it's
still
that and a
AI.
mixture of them using AI. They don't want AI to be used.
Yeah, because there's that you sign away your life saying they can use your image in anything they want to, and
So,
blah blah blah.
Which is a complicated thing, and I'm not. I know people who are in the industry, and I don't want to speak for them because that's not my place. But we hope those strikes get settled in a fair manner for all people involved. Let's just leave it at that. I want to remain just neutral here. But anyway, where was I going with that? I don't know. I'm confused. Anyway, hey, you know what is not confusing is this great episode of And I Quote with Corissa Grant, because it's worthy of being chaotic like it is right now. So don't forget to like and share this with everyone you know. If you have any questions for Corissa specifically, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. And if you are joining this live or on a replay, thank you so much for being with us. We do greatly appreciate it. Corissa, if you could give someone who's aspiring to be an indie comic writer any pieces of advice, what would you give them?
Comic writer, like they haven't even started writing yet, or they want to start making the comic?
Mixture of both. Go for it.
Well, for writing, for me, so I'm dyslexic, and role play for me, the kind you write, not the kind in the bedroom. The role playing kind. I started as a one-liner and worked my way up. So I actually highly recommend that if whether you're dyslexic or you want to get ideas out there, going to a site like roleplayer.me, picking one of your favorite characters and just finding someone to write with is incredibly easy. I did it for 17 years. It's a phenomenal way to increase. I mean, I went from a one-liner to now I can sit down in one sitting and do 6,000 words with no problem. So I obviously highly recommend that. Not only to get your writing skills better, but to get ideas. I mean, I would always get constant ideas, and role-playing with my co-writer is how we built so many ideas and everything like that. To start making comic books, I would write it first. At least know your ending. It doesn't matter if you know how long it's going to be, or if it's going to be 45 issues like me, and that would mean you're crazy like me, or if you at least know where it would eventually end. Don't be like Game of Thrones. You don't know how it's going to end, and then it ends horribly. Don't do that, because they won't remember the amazing issues before it. All they're going to remember is the last episode, issue, like Lost and Game of Thrones and whatever. So have it planned out, and at least do that. But when it comes to finding an artist, I'm going to tell you the one thing that I learned, because I spent thousands on trying to find a good artist that fit my characters. The number one mistake I made was paying for a character design. You already know what your character looks like. You don't need them to make a character design for you. Have them do a script from your page, a script that you want. It doesn't have to be page one, just a random script page that has things you want in it. Have them do it. Tell them what your characters look like and have them do it. I could not explain enough how important that is, because I paid for all these character designs, which, by the way, is double the price of a page. Don't ask me how that's possible. But not only that, if like the character design was nice and I asked them to do a page, they never transferred it properly. It didn't look the same, or it wasn't the movement I want. So really, you get to see how the character looks, the layout, the action, just do one page. And that's how I finally found my artist. I literally, after I learned to pay for a page, I found one almost immediately. So that would be my thing. And also, if you don't have passion for the story, don't bother making a comic, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of money. I'm not in it for profit. If I never make a dime off of it, I don't care. I just want to see them all made. I would like for it to break even. That would be my cup of tea, to break even. That would be ideal for me, at least. So don't go into it wanting to make money, but definitely be passionate about it. So yeah.
Wow. Mic drop. Fantastic pieces of advice. And if you love what you do, it's not called work. So
Yeah.
there you go. By the way, is that a plushie you're holding off the side of your studio? Is that a plush? It's a fluffy.
This is my Anubis plus. This is my emotional support Anubis plushie. I do sell. There's only one available left on my Kickstarter. I don't know if you can see him on the corner of the eye, but this is my Hellhound. He's already sold out. Well, not this one. This one's mine. But I have other plushies that are for sale too. We have merch galore, but there's 2 left. I sold one last campaign, so 2 are left in this campaign. And there'll be more. Every book we have new plushies for the monsters. Next book has the salamander monsters, the vampire chameleon bats, and also vampires in straitjackets. So there you go.
My goodness gracious. It's a fluffy. I want one. No.
I love my plushies. Like, everyone always used to ask me, especially early on, because I've been having plushies since the beginning. And now people are copying me, by the way. Like, imitation is the strongest form of flattery. But I've been getting my plushie creator lots of business because, which is Down Home Textiles for anyone that wants. They're on Facebook. But yeah, other creators have started getting their plushies made too. Not as obsessively as mine, apparently, but yeah, I have a ton of merch, and when somebody asks me why, I have the same answer every time. I wanted it, and selling it to you is tax deductible. So now my hobby is completely funded by the government. I used to spend tons of money on my hobbies, and now I can get my plushies for tax deductible. So it's good times. And he comes with the staff too, and that is 3D printed. So yeah, it's all good.
That is so cutesy with the by the way, that one is cool, by the way. The Anubis one you just showed us, that's a cool looking one. I like that.
Yeah, these are all handmade. They're very rare, very limited edition. I think there was 8 Anubis and one's left. There was 1 Hellhound, but there's 1 more being made and 2 sit-down ones for book 2 that'll be done. There was only 3 skeleton birds made, and there's a couple of other ones that'll be made. But I only make like 1 or 2 tops for the campaign, and then that's it. So.
Well, that's completely fair. And Carlin Stewart has some thoughts about this here. Some of the stories you were sharing earlier, his reaction is wowza. So that's one way of saying it, Carlin. And then he goes on to say, marketing and support is hard.
It is very difficult. I am lucky to have full-on support. I mean, I am in a bunch of chats and a bunch of groups that are supportive. Ryan is extremely supportive and comes to follow me wherever I go, so he can, praise me and say nice things about me and make me feel good. But yeah, support's good. My mother, who has not read a comic book in her life and hates everything horror, buys every single one of them. So my mom supports me.
Well, talk about a 180, right? She didn't like the genre. Now she's coming to respect it a little bit because my daughter is making all these wonderful comics.
Yeah, she didn't support a business that I started from scratch like years ago.
Sure.
But she loves, I used to draw and I used to be really good at it. And it wasn't, I don't want to say not an interest of mine. I do like it, but it's just nothing I really would go with. She loved it and she wanted me to be an artist so bad. So I think this is kind of as close as she feels like she's going to get. So that's why she supports it.
Always good to have support family.
Yes.
Sorry. Carlin Stewart, for discussion purposes, best ways you have found to get support.
Honestly, supporting others. Like, I support others, especially when they start, and then they support me back. And that's not why I do it, but that just seems to be the best way to go through it. I built so many great relationships doing it. I built relationships being on shows. I mean, most of the people that have backed it in the beginning were the hosts of some of the shows I got after talking to them. They're like, "Oh, that sounds awesome. I'm gonna back it." But being in chats are awesome. Facebook groups, get into Facebook groups, ask questions, answer questions. Don't just post about your stuff. Support other people's stuff. Share. I share a lot of other people's stuff because I want to make sure they're successful as much as I want to get myself to be successful. So those are really important to me. So I would just say, be there for other people and other people there for you. I mean, there's certain people that will use you, But fortunately, in this community, I haven't really found anybody that's kind of like, you know, in it for themselves more than helping others. So I got really lucky. I don't know. Maybe I'm lucky.
Right place, right time, maybe. I don't know. I know in
Yeah.
one Kickstarter campaign, indie writer and creator Rob Multeri of Lone Wolf Comics, which created this gorgeous-looking
He's
character.
gonna be going live soon, by the way. His Kickstarter is on pre-launch for issue 8. So Nightwolf. And he asked another question, and no, she does not have a corner of plushies or
and
merch. But she does have, unfortunately, the one that I hate. She has the first comic book I printed, and it's framed on the wall with whatever merch it came with. So she has that, and I hate that issue, so it bothers the hell out of me. However, it's very nice of my mom to have that there. Maybe it'll be worth a fortune someday, and that's what she's hoping. So,
Well, for those of you wondering what we were discussing just 2 seconds ago, Carlin Stewart asked the question, does Carissa's mother now have a corner full of plushies and merch? And that was her answer to that. Very colorfully, I might add.
Yeah.
But that I'm just kidding. But what I was saying was, in regards to the one and only Rob Multeri, he actually had a what do you call it? A tier in one of his Kickstarters where he was offering consulting on people who are just starting out and wanting to know how Kickstarter and some of the other things work. And that was one of the tiers in one of his Kickstarters. So if anyone's interested in learning more about what he's doing with this character known as Snowpaw and Nightwolf, just visit lonewolfcomics.com. All the information is there. And Rob Multeri is a good friend of Nerd Culture Channel. He's also a good friend of Carissa and myself. So
yeah. And he has a question too. Yay.
Yeah, Rob is cool. Check him out. He's got a lot of great things, and it's spooky season. So say hi to Lone Wolf Comics for us.
I actually have his plushie. Hold on.
Oh, you do have the plushie? Because I know he did a plushie or two on a few other campaigns, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, there's the plushie.
This is some high quality plushing right here. It's the zombie toy, werewolf toy, and it is awesome, and it's very high quality. So yeah, it's about the same size as my Anubis. So yeah.
I feel like this just turned into the plushie show and tell show.
I do have an army of plushies, and I'm not afraid to use them. So,
well, the character in a animated movie who says "It's a fluffy" should be very happy with you.
It's a fluffy, I'm gonna die.
Exactly. I need a plushie. I want one. Anyway, aside from that, have there been any? Well, first of all, before I get to that, I do want to share something with you who may be watching or listening to this. This is one of the many covers that have come out for this series. But for those of you who are unfamiliar with Worthy Chaos or Redemption, what exactly are these stories all about?
As I said before, it's a mixture of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Supernatural, Silent Hill, Resident Evil, Evil Dead, Good Omens. They're all smushed together into its own genre. And the story follows Angel Descendant, Seraphina, and Demon Descendant, Draven. They don't know that they're angels and demons. We do, because we see through the eyes of their fathers, who have been using them as pawns to get an angelic weapon that Seraphina was created from. And if heaven or hell gets this weapon, they can tip the scales of the war in either's favor. Her father wants it for another reason, but he's using the resources of heaven and the war as an excuse to get to it, which is, by the way, something that he has been manipulating. But he's being manipulated on the side, so everyone's being manipulated. But anyway, they send all these creatures and all these things to come after them, because the only way that they know of at the moment to activate the weapon is to kill her in a certain way and use her soul to activate it. So they've sent hellhounds after her, ghosts, zombies, zombie mermen, Anubis, our vampires, the Clotters, everything that they could think of to get at Seraphina. So Seraphina and Draven are obviously not giving up, and it's like a survival horror. And I'm hoping to have a survival horror game for it someday, because that just fits so perfectly. And also, we are looking into a tabletop RPG of it too, because I have been asked about it so many times that I figure I might as well. As for that cover, that was issue 4, which you can get as an add-on in our. You can get all back issues and variants that are still available in the add-ons. That was from DC artist Ken Hunt, who is absolutely phenomenal. He worked on Batman, Harley Quinn, Superman for like 10 years. It was colored by CC Dela Cruz, which is the current colorist of the internal colorist for Lady Death Universe, which, man, their Kickstarters are something to be envied, as they go up to $700,000. So there's something that I'll never see in my lifetime. However, CC is amazing, and they both did the covers for the hardcover too. That'll be coming out soon. And she's hopefully coloring the next one. Hey, John. So yeah, sorry, I'm ADD when it comes to comments. So
You're kind of doing my job for me, and I don't like that. So let me do the calling here, okay? But anyway, John Westhoff with the I don't know what this means, or no, I do know what this means, but I'm not going to say it on public radio. And then the cowboy hat emoji, cowboy. All right, John, good to see you too. Howdy. Clint Eastwood, anybody? Anyone like a Clint Eastwood Western? I like Clint Eastwood Westerns. I know Lori does.
I grew up with them.
You grew up with those?
Of course. I'm
What's
old.
your favorite Eastwood Western, though?
Oh, God.
Yeah. There's something to trip you up on a Saturday. How about that?
Yeah. I mean, I've always loved Westerns.
Have you?
Yeah. I'm
surprised
always...
you didn't join us for that roundtable discussion we had between Lori and I on Westerns.
Yeah, no, I wasn't asked, but you kidding me? I collect Donald Duck. I've been collecting Donald Duck for years, and my collection is Donald Duck as a cowboy, and I have over 710 items of Donald Duck dressed up as a cowboy. My husband has the cowboy hats. Oh yeah, I love cowboys. And there's actually in the prequel to this series, since they've lived multiple lives together, the last life they had lived together was in Western times, because it's every 100 years. So I can't wait to write that one. So no, yeah, I love all Westerns. There was only one that's disappointed me, and I walked out on it, and now I can't remember what it was. I don't know if it was Magnificent Seven or something else, but I walked out of one Western, so I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, I'd be curious to find out what that Western movie was, but
I think it's Magnificent Seven, but
with Denzel?
No, that wasn't it then. I don't know what it was. I'll have to look it up. I'll look it up.
Feel free to DM me later if you figure out what it is.
I will, but I was bored out of my freaking mind, and I never leave a movie theater. So I love movies.
You know, the only time I ever walked out of a movie theater was halfway through an indie film, and it's a horrible one, and it won a lot of Razzies that year too when it first came out. And I'm talking about Good Luck Chuck with Dane Cook and Jessica Alba.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I walked out of 2 movies in my life. That Western, whatever it was. And I love Dana Carvey, but whatever movie Dana Carvey did he was like a turtle and a detective.
The Master of Disguise.
Yeah, I walked out. No offense, Dana Carvey. I love him. I loved him in Saturday Night Live. He's actually I love him as Turtle. That was the only part I liked. I loved him as Garth, but for whatever reason, I was with my friend and we both looked at each other like, "Do you want to leave?" And yeah, because you never know. You can't just walk out when you're with somebody. I think the Western I was by myself because I've seen a couple on my own. I saw Stay Alive by myself.
Oh.
So yeah, so whatever. Those are the 2 movies I walked out in. But yeah, I'll have to look it up.
I was with a family member when we saw Good Luck Chuck, but they were my ride home, and they were the same. They were feeling the same way I was. I looked at her. I'm like, this isn't good. She's like, all right, let's leave.
Yeah.
And then we just got up and we walked out. So
technically, if you bother them enough, they will give you a refund. I didn't, but they will give you a refund.
I didn't get my money back for that one, unfortunately. I wish I could. Here's something I wish oh wait, sorry. Sorry about that. Goodness gracious. Almost got caught off guard there. So what I was saying was the movie I wish I could get my 1050 back, however it was, Transformers Age of Extinction. So you want to talk about garbage that is garbage. That's terrible garbage. I'm talking about Transformers 4, the one with Mark Wahlberg.
I didn't get that far.
Okay. Well, good thing you didn't. But yeah. Just saying, Transformers Age of Extinction is one of the biggest pieces of garbage I've ever seen in the history of cinema. So
I'm going to be honest with you. Transformers just does not have the same kick when it's not cartoons. It's hard to see them. You don't get expressions. It's just, I miss the cartoons from the 80s.
Well, the good news is, despite the difference in quality with each installment of the Transformers, I'm talking about the live action franchise, not the animated movie from the 80s, because I haven't seen that one either.
No, I'm saying I don't think they transferred well into live action.
No, I got you. But I'm just saying that one of the bright spots of that is that Peter Cullen came back to voice Optimus Prime in all the movies. So at least we got that. Thank you, Peter Cullen. Great voice actor, great legend, by the way. So 2 thumbs up for that one. But as far as Transformers goes, all right, this is going to be a hot take for you, Carissa.
Woo-hoo.
But the first Transformers movie from Bay from 2007, that's good. 2's garbage. 3, which is Dark of the Moon, is really good, actually. I think that movie is pretty good for the most part. I mean, there's some parts that are garbage, but mostly it's really good. And then the prequel, Bumblebee, is really good. Is really, really good. I haven't seen the sequel to that, which is Transformers Rise of the Beasts yet, but I'm going to sit down and watch that because it has the Beast Wars in it. And I grew up on the animated series known as Beast Wars. So remember that theme song? Anyway, don't want to get copyrighted, but you know what I mean. So if you don't know what Beast Wars is, look it up after the show. Just look up the intro. The intro song is iconic. It's real good. It's 3D animation. Feel free to look it up. It's really good stuff. Anyway, enough about the childhood nostalgia because that's neither here nor there.
I could do that for hours. So.
Well, you and I could sit here.
Yeah.
And because you were just saying how much you like Westerns. I'm like, I didn't know she liked Westerns, but there you go. For me, Clint Eastwood Western, though, just between you and me, it's hard to pick just one because most of them, if not all of them, are great. I don't know. I like Outlaw Josie Wales to a degree, but I really like Unforgiven.
I think Unforgiven would be my favorite.
Yeah, you like that one? I mean, it did win all the Oscars that year.
I liked so many. I mean, I grew up. My dad had liked Western, so I grew up watching them. I watched the old ones too.
Like
I watched them when they would trip the horses for real with wire. I mean, I was watching a long time ago.
So you were watching stuff like, what was it called? It was called Bonanza and Rawhide and Shane and John Wayne movies.
Yep.
Maybe John Ford or something like that.
Yeah.
Is there a John Ford movie?
I love the era. I loved.
Who doesn't?
I wouldn't want to live there and die of like syphilis, but I mean, yeah.
I wouldn't want to die of dysentery like they do on the Oregon Trail.
I loved Oregon Trail when I was a kid. I would always die from I could never get the damn thing to float. There's another word for it.
The wagon.
The wagon. But I mean, I couldn't get it to whatever it's supposed to
float
do.
Float across the river, you mean?
I could never, but there's another word for it. And I could never get it to do it. So it killed me every time.
It's either floated across the river or transported across the river.
I don't know, but that was the highlight of my day when it was time to like, let's go play Oregon Trail. Yes.
Let's go to recess. Well, our idea of recess is playing Oregon Trail and Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego all over again.
Yep.
Does anybody remember Carmen Sandiego?
I do. I remember the show. I remember the
game shows.
The game. I remember. Yeah.
Those were good times, weren't they?
Yep.
That's when life was simpler. You know?
Yeah, everyone's like, what era would you go back to? I was like, 80s. There's no question in my life.
Well, I was born in the late 80s, so I wouldn't mind revisiting that because then I could go to the theater and see all the movies that came out during the 80s that were so grand.
Well, I was born in 78 and I saw all the movies in the
I saw all the movies in the 80s.
I remember like my father took me to see Gremlins in the theater. Yeah. I don't remember anything about it during watching. I was really young. What did that come out in? Is it 86?
82, 84?
Dude, I was like 5.
You didn't know the difference between a Mogwai and Don't Feed Him After Midnight? You didn't understand that.
I had no idea. But I remember for some reason the ending when he's walking into the fog. That's the only thing I remember about the movie. But I also saw A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 when I was 6. And then Cujo when I was 6. Which, by the way, then I went to a park and there was a muddy giant Saint Bernard. And I was not thrilled that it was running around. I'm surprised I still became a dog groomer because that thing scared the hell out of me. Yeah.
But what was it called? Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Your dream
warriors.
I mean, come on.
Time. Yeah, that was an improv rhyme too. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse in the show, so I didn't say it. But
no, it's okay. It's fine. You can curse once in a blue moon, but we do try to keep things family friendly on the set. But that's okay. Things happen all the time.
Yeah. Well, that line was improvised by Robert Englund, so that was like the best line ever.
Which one?
Primetime bitch.
Oh, welcome to Primetime so-and-so. Yeah. Good one. Nice work, Robert Englund.
Yeah.
If I ever get a chance to meet him, I'll have him sign my Nightmare on Elm Street box set.
Oh, I had the chance last year, and I found out too late. And then I wanted to do. He's on Cameo, but it's $500. Like,
ouch.
I was like, I'll give you $50. Like, I mean, I love Cameo, and I've done multiple on there. In fact, they kind of know me in Supernatural because I'll do like multiple ones, and they'll be like, oh, I remember you. So they know me. I've been to all the cons and everything. But yeah, I love doing Cameo, but it's not. Overall, it's not really worth it. You watch it like twice, and then you're like, oh yeah.
Cameos you've paid a lot of money for with the Supernatural cast. Obsess much?
Yeah. Well, no, actually, like I don't know if you watch it, but the one that played Bobby Singer, he's only $50, and he only comes in on a blue moon, does like 50 of them and leaves. Like I feel like a bill comes in that he wasn't expecting. He has to pay it, so he comes on. He just does like 50 and then he leaves. Like that's what he does. Whenever. In the last 3 years, I've been waiting for him. He did it once, and I got it because I was on alert. But yeah. And then the Buffy cast I do too, which is I'll pay between $50 and $150 for a cameo.
Boy, the devotion of fans. By the way, Carlin Stewart says you have died from dysentery.
Yeah.
That's the Oregon Trail talking, by the way, Carlin. That's not in real life. That's just the Oregon Trail talking.
Well, it happened in real life in the back of the day, but
Back in the heyday, yeah, but we weren't there. So
thankfully.
yeah, thankfully. And by the way, I'm looking forward to your Western set storylines with these characters of your series.
Me
So
too. Yeah.
look forward to reading those. Feel free to send me a copy.
Yeah, of course.
Because
Yeah,
I like
it's
Westerns.
an intense one because it's everything that led up to what's going on in this story. So it's directly connected because what happened to that is why this story is different than all the other lives. So there'll be a lot of flashbacks to it. There will be flashbacks in as we go of things that happened during the Western and things that went dark and all that. But it's not for a couple of books, unfortunately. But yeah, I can't wait to write it. So I'm writing the origins of when the angel and demon met, and Anubis is there, and they're all collecting souls, and so yeah, I'm working on writing that and how the weapon was created, how Seraphina was created, how Draven was created. So I'm working on all that, and I'm really excited to get that out and work on that. But we'll see.
Wow, a creative genius. If you look at those words in the dictionary and look for someone who's planned ahead 50,000 years ahead of time, there's a giant picture of Corissa Grant right next to it. And for those of you wondering what the Bantha fodder is going on, this is, and I quote, with the guest of honor, Corissa Grant, indie comic book writer extraordinaire of Where the Chaos Comics. Don't forget to like and share this with everyone you know. If you have any questions for Corissa, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. If you are joining this live or on the replay, thank you for being here. And we hope you're enjoying what's known as the chaotic show so far. With that being said, have there been any special memories for you from being at conventions or other events, whether you are there as a vendor or there as an attendee?
Well, the biggest ego trip was 2 people wanted to take the picture with me, which I was like awesome because they've never even read it. So it's just, I guess they're just anticipating that it'll be good. I had a couple people at my book signing get 2, one to read and one for me to sign. So that was another ego trip. I had one guy at one of the, I think it was the second con I ever did. And the first one wasn't really a con. It was more like a flea market. So the first real con I did, he listened to my probably way too long pitch. And he said, I am so excited to read this. I need a cigarette. And he literally went out and smoked a cigarette. And then he bought every single thing that I own. And he said, my wife's going to love this and blah, blah, blah. And it was some old guy. It was so funny. I couldn't remember half the things he said because I already don't understand half the accents. And he met me another con. He's like, is there more? And I was like, all I have is the metal copy with me. And he's like, I'll take it. And he was thrilled. And he has no idea that I'm up to 7 now. So I need to do another con so he can know because he's only got 1 through 4. So slacking.
Slacker. Tardy good for you, Miss Parker. And another one for you, McFly. I believe that makes 4 in a row. I'll never give you a nickel's worth of free advice, young man. This so-called Dr. Brown here is a real nutcase. You hang around with him, you're getting up in big trouble. Oh, yes, sir. You got a real attitude problem, Corissa. You're a slacker. Anyway, no, I'm not. I'm just kidding. Have you? By the way, how many times have you seen that movie, Back to the Future? Have you seen it at all?
Oh, I first I saw it in the theaters.
Which is great because at least one of us was there when it
I saw it in all the theaters. I saw it when it came out. I saw it multiple times in the theater, and we didn't have the internet back then, so I did not know it would be to be continued. So I was not happy with the to be continued one. And Marty McFly, Michael J. Fox, he almost died for real. You probably know that in the Western one, he was choking, and which also almost happened to Brendan Fraser in The Mummy. Yeah, I've probably seen it enough to memorize it all by heart. So
great. That means you and I can have a quote off one of these days on another show.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the Western one, I don't think a lot of people liked, but I obviously loved it.
I like 3 more than I do 2.
I don't even remember 2.
Well, it's basically they go to
3
2015 to see what the future is, and then they have to go back to 1955 because Biff used the almanac to make himself rich.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, they got in trouble because they used the father's face mask on one of the actors. It wasn't really the
Jeffrey Weissman. Yeah.
Yeah. So they used the mask for.
There's a big lawsuit over that.
What was the father's name?
Well, the father's name was George McFly, but the actor who replaced Crispin Glover from the first movie was Jeffrey Weissman.
He's the one that was in Rats or whatever. Willard,
yeah.
I love that movie too.
Well, you like spooky, creepy, and ooky stuff, so it's no wonder you like Willard, who can control a bunch. What's it called? A truckload of rats?
That was a great movie. I would love the fact
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, we got to go see it. I felt bad for it's. Ben was based off of the Michael Jackson movie
Really?
song. Because the song
I didn't know that.
yeah, he wrote the song he's writing. He had the friend.
Really?
That's the rat. He befriended a rat, and he was singing about a rat. So the song Ben, that was the rat. So I felt bad because the rat kept wanting to be friends with Willard, and Willard kept getting mad at him because he was big and not as cute as
Really?
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
strange.
Yeah.
Well, then again, it's a creepy movie. So what does anything make sense in a horror / thriller type movie?
gonna go
Probably
watch it
not.
again. I'm gonna have to go watch it again. It's been a long time.
Um,
I have a whole long list of movies. I just watched
what did
the
you
Blob
watch?
remake. So
Which one?
the Blob, the remake.
Oh, the remake. How was it?
It was actually incredibly good. I thought I saw it before, but I remembered nothing except for ice was what its weakness is, and I don't remember if I knew that from the movie or if I just knew it. But yeah, I actually really liked it. I did not remember that it was human made or
Right.
I loved it, and it was definitely worth watching. I don't know if I've seen the original or not, so I don't know.
Well, that actually brings up a really fair question here. In the words of our friend Ghostface, what's your favorite scary movie?
Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
The Dream Warriors.
Well, see, that has I wouldn't say so. It's the most iconic to me. My favorite of all time is a mix between Shaun of the Dead and The Wrong Turn. So those two are Shaun of the Dead. I have an autographed picture from Simon Pegg. I met him in person.
Really?
I don't know if you know the show Space, that he's in Space, where he's he does everything. He was playing Resident Evil 2 in the show. So I actually sent him one of my Leon extra special cards that are rare, whatever. So I sent it to him, and I got back a generic signed letter and photographs. So you knew it was just generic. But then 2 weeks later, I got this one that is personalized. It says "Get Red on You," and it has Simon Pegg for Corissa. And it's a picture you don't really see a lot. So they must have handed him the card. He's like, oh, okay. So when I saw him in person, I was like, you're not gonna remember this, but I sent you something a long time ago. He goes, oh, the Leon card. And I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah. He's like, yep. So that was the highlight of my day. So.
Wow, you're a very memorable person. And Carlin Stewart goes on to say the original movie known as The Blob was space-based, and the hot roofs were cool. I'm old.
This was
Or hot rods, he says.
It was from space, but it was a satellite, and I don't know if it was something attached to their satellite or if they put something in it and it went up. I just watched it. You would think that I would know. But it was space related, and it crash landed in their satellite. I just don't know if it was human created and it grew up there, or if it was attached to cell. I can't remember what they said, but it sounded like it was human based, but I don't know.
Well, for me, when it comes to scary movies, like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of the genre, but I've seen a number of different films that are within the genre or subgenre of horror. So, for instance, I've seen the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I've seen one or two, maybe three of the Halloween movies, and some others as well. But for me, the one that I don't know if this. See, for me, if I have to have a favorite scary movie, it's one that I can go back to and rewatch, because most scary movies I just watch once and just walk away. It's like, okay, I've seen it. I can mark it off my quote unquote to-do list, like movies like Poltergeist, movies like John Carpenter's The Thing, which is one of the greatest horror movies ever made. Seriously, that movie is bloody terrifying, like 1,000%.
And the practicals were one of the best.
And the practical effects hold up 40 years later. My hat's off to John Carpenter, cast and crew, including Kurt Russell. So,
oh yeah.
There you go. You can't go wrong with Kurt Russell, Keith David, and a few of the other actors in there. We'll talk about that later. But anyway, one of my favorite scary movies is one that is a possession type movie. And it was based on a true story, partially based on a true story, because you know how they take creative liberties, right? So this movie was called The Exorcism of Emily Rose, with Laura Linney, Tom Wilkinson, and a young up-and-coming at the time, Jennifer freaking Carpenter. Hello, Jennifer. Yeah. Just saying. Is
that the one with Dexter's sister?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So Jennifer Carpenter plays young Emily Rose, who is diagnosed with being possessed. And they send out someone to perform an exorcism. And things obviously go wrong. and it's half horror movie, half legal thriller. So if that's something you're into or you're looking, because it is, I'm dead serious.
Can
There
you
is a
play
legal
the real
thriller.
tapes? Because there are real tapes of the exorcism.
Well, there's audio tapes of it, and then the other part of it
Did they
is
play the real audio tapes during the movie, or were those they made up?
no, they were made for the movie.
Okay.
I don't think they were the actual tapes, but I will say this: it's half horror movie, half legal thriller. So it's a really good mixture of different elements. So if you're into that sort of thing, check out The Exorcism of Emily Rose, directed by Scott Derrickson, who also directed Doctor Strange. He also directed what is it called? Not Slither. That was James. Sinister. There it is. So with Ethan Hawke.
Nathan Fillion. So
yeah, but that's a different movie from a different director.
I know, and it was gross as all hell.
Don't tell me about it. Anyway, so I don't want to hear it. So check out The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Check out some of the movies that we just discussed here a moment ago. Feel free to do that. And with that being said, I do want to let you know that this episode of And I Quote, and every episode of And I Quote, is indeed powered by our good friends over there, is something known as pod decks. Now, pod decks are the hottest, and I do mean red hot, new tool for podcasters looking to have more meaningful conversations or gamify their podcasts. All you have to do is shuffle up the cards, ask a question, and you let the content roll. You can get yours today at poddex.com and use the code RYAN10, that's RYAN10, for 10% off your order. Don't miss out on that, and say hi to our good friends over there at Poddex. Now, Carissa, Poddex wants to know, what was that?
That was a hard question. You can delete all but 3 apps. What would they be?
Well, that's an example. I'm not asking that one. But that's
no, I know. I'm just saying. I was reading it, and I was thinking about it while you were talking.
Okay. Well, do you want to answer that one for the hay?
Sure. I would have to say Messenger, email, and I guess my alarm, because I don't know what else I would do without my alarm.
I need my alarm clock.
Yeah.
Or my alarm on my phone.
Yeah.
However you want to put it.
Yeah.
But with that being said, thanks for answering the example. It's just an example. It's not like the permanent one. But anyway, so Poddex wants to know this. What was the worst time you ever put your foot in your mouth, and what did you say?
Oh, God, that's like daily.
Lori, are we getting this?
To think of just one?
What was the worst time you ever put your foot in your mouth, and what did you say exactly? Or if you want to put star across asterisks along the curse words, you can do that.
I'm trying to think, because there's been so many, and to like narrow it down to one, you caught me off guard. Usually it's me asking a question that's inappropriate.
Okay.
Not sexual. I'm just like, Oh,
okay. Because we were talking about role playing earlier, but we're not talking about role playing in the bedroom. We're talking about role playing.
Like because I'll ask questions. I'm very blunt. So if there's a question, I would
get out of here.
I would I would just ask it without ever thinking about
thinking about the consequences. So you're basically like the next door neighbor. You're like Kramer.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know who Kramer is?
Of course I do.
Yeah.
I actually hate Kramer, but
Hey! Kramer's my favorite character. How dare you?
He's fun to watch, but as a person in living with, that I would hate him.
Oh no! I totally agree with you, because he comes in at the worst time, right?
Oh yeah, he doesn't knock. He comes in. He takes food. He takes stuff.
He takes your milk out of the fridge without asking.
Yeah, no. As a character, he's funny as all hell, but as a person, and he's based on a true person.
Yeah, he is. He's based on a true story. Yeah.
Yeah, so I can't even imagine having that kind of person in life. I can't think of one incident, but now I'm going to be thinking about this all day of all the times I've said, because I'm not one of those people that stay up at night and be like, oh, why did I say that? Because after I say it, it's like, well, it's out. Might as well answer it.
Might as well just move on to the next question.
Yeah. So yeah, I can't think of a specific a time, but there's been a couple of them.
Well, I'm looking for Kramer. Yeah. Well, what do you guys do? Well, she was just going to show me pictures of places I can visit. When I go to Puerto Rico. When you two went down there. It's we'll talk later. What? It's just so where were we? I was just leaving. Right, you were leaving. Anyway, that's a story for another day entirely, and that's one of the best episodes in the history of that sitcom. But anyway, let's move on to a much easier question, shall we? What 3 things? No, these questions are only going to get easier for you, I hope. I don't know. Otherwise, we're going to be here all night. So Poddex wants to know the following. What 3 things would you leave in a time capsule for people to open in 50 years?
So I have this. This is not a religious thing. I'm just saying. We have like written things of what happened in the day, and I always said it as a joke, saying we don't know if it really happened. It could just be something written. So I used to take a joke and say, I bet if we had like Lord of the Rings and everything else was destroyed, and they thought that that's what really happened. So for some reason, I would leave Lord of the Rings in there, or The Hobbit, or one of those books in there. But if my own personal things, it would be Lord of the Rings, and you know what? Things in the back of the day would last. So I'd probably put like a tape deck and a cassette in there, because it'd probably be like, what the hell is this thing? And just because I want to have some kind of legend, I'd probably put my issue 1 in there, or my hardcover, whatever time I do this thing.
I go with the hardcover.
Yeah, let's do the hardcover.
Hardcovers tend to last longer than paperbacks. So.
Yeah, I think it'll survive a time capsule. So yeah, that's what I would leave. I don't know what I'd leave in tape in there, but probably it's 80s music, just to screw with them even more. So,
yeah, well,
yeah.
80s had some of the best music of all time, period.
It did. My husband makes fun of me because we watch Orville, and he's like, how come everything that they relate back to music and movie-wise is our era? I was like, because it was the best era, the 80s and 90s, and that we had the best music and whatever. So
best movies.
Yeah.
I mean, look at all the movies you had in the 80s, right? You had movies like John Carpenter's The Thing. You had John Carpenter's They Live. You had the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, right? You had Friday the 13th. You had Back to the Future trilogy. You had Star Wars in the 80s. You had Star Wars. You had The Terminator, which is one of the greatest sci-fi movies ever made.
Yes.
And by the way, for those of you who still think that T2 is the best, you're wrong, because The Terminator is the absolute best of that franchise, because you wouldn't get T2 without the first one. So
okay, now you're getting into semantics though, because you're gonna, I have a real problem with time travel. Like,
because what they taught us in Avengers Endgame is like, wait a minute, you're telling me all the stuff we learned in Back to the Future and the Terminator is all BS?
Yeah.
So,
but yes, good movies.
So, well, yeah. Do you like the Terminator though? Do you like the first one?
I do like the first one.
Darn right you do. I mean, that score, that iconic score. I mean, come on, the synthesizer.
I like when he went to the police station and just completely destroyed everybody in like 4 seconds flat. So,
I'm looking for Sarah Connor. Where is she? She's in the back making a statement. If you want to wait, there's a bench over there. Looks at the window for about 10 seconds. I'll be back. Just leave. Just leaves. And then he takes the car and just rams it in like it's nobody's business. Like, yep, I'm wrecking shop, guys. I'm wrecking shop. And I don't care who's in the station. You're all going to die.
Yep.
So... But hey, look at what those actors came out with. Some of them are some of the biggest names in the history of sci-fi. So well done, guys. Well done. And I had the pleasure of meeting Kyle Reese. I met Michael Bean at a con, had him sign my Terminator Blu-ray. I said to him, hey, Michael, just tell me something. What was it like filming the tech noir shootout sequence? And he says, well, when you're 26 or 27 holding a shotgun, you tend to have a lot of fun on set. I'm like, darn right, man. Darn right. The tech noir scene is awesome. The tension builds to perfection.
Yep.
You remember that scene?
I do. I remember the whole movie. That was a good movie.
It's a beautiful scene. It's so good. It's so well executed, if you know what I'm saying. But anyway, if you like the Terminator, the fun fact for those of you wondering, that movie turns the epically awesome 40 years young next year. We're going to do a 40th anniversary celebration / watch along for the Terminator. And if Corissa wants to relive her childhood, she's more than welcome to come in and join us for that broadcast. So
40, 5 years older than that movie. Wow.
It's okay. Age is just a number. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But it's okay. Listen. You're only as old as you feel. I mean, honestly, I may be X amount of years old, but I still feel like I'm 18, so I'm good.
So I'm like 80 then. So okay.
No. You and I are both. We're still younglings. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
We're still young. We're young at heart. That's the key. Just remember that.
I still play with action figures and plushies.
You play with plushies.
So, yeah. Yep.
You hug and squeeze the living heck out of those plushies. So.
I do, and I still play with clay, not Play-Doh, but clay. So
you play with clay. Wow.
I play with clay. I make some of my monsters out of there. Yeah.
Really?
Yes, I do.
That's interesting.
I'll show you.
You're a very fascinating individual, aren't you?
I have been told that. I mean, if you knew what I was next to me is my dollhouse replica of a 1920s insane asylum, and I have mini straitjackets. So yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, I can have a whole show. But yeah.
Well, in the words of a famous character from a sci-fi series, fascinating. Once again, this is, and I quote, with the incredible Corissa Grant. Don't forget to like and share this with everyone you know. If you have any questions for her, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. If you're joining this live or on the replay, thank you for being here. Poddex wants to know, if you decide to get cremated, where would you want your ashes spread?
Actually, I think I'm into this new, you put your ashes in the plant tree thing, and then they plant your tree. So, because I don't really have any place. I mean, I feel like it's kind of slightly disgusting to throw someone's ashes into the wind and then you breathe it in. So it kind of freaks me out. So I think I'd rather, I do want to be cremated because worm food is not my favorite, and being a zombie isn't my favorite either. So, cremated is fine. I just think I'd probably want to be like, turn into a tree or something, or whatever. If not, then I'd want to violate all the rules and be thrown in at Disney. So it's against the rules, but apparently, like, there's at least 90 or so a year that people spend. The most famous, the most popular place to throw your ashes in Disney is the haunted mansion, which makes me think how effed up that really is, because they're like, oh, it's a haunted mansion. Let me put my loved one's ashes in there so we could really have a haunted mansion. But yeah.
Boy, this show is getting too creepy for its own good. So with that being said, Poddex wants to know, thanks for sharing that, if you could try out a job for a day just to see if you like it, which job would you choose?
I always wanted to take care of the baby animals at a zoo. That was like my dream. When I was a kid, they're like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I was like, I don't know. I just want to work with the baby animals at the zoo. So I did for one day, but yeah. They stuck me with barn animals and it just wasn't the same. So
nothing wrong with taking care of the little creatures that populate the planet. The animal kingdom. Anyway, I don't know. If I hung out with lions that could talk, like Simbas and Nalas and Zazus, all those cool looking characters, I'd hang out with them.
Yeah. How would you eat meat after they start talking to you?
Of course not. Of course not. No, I would just look at them and say, "Hey guys, this has been fun, but I got to get home now." Yeah. And then I would come back later and be like, "Okay, so how was the rest of your day? Did you guys go to the second half of the Pride Lands, or did you just visit the elephant graveyard again?" Because the elephant graveyard is that way.
Well, they talk about how morbid it is that he sings "I can't wait to be king," which means his father has to die. So
I don't think he meant it that way. Like, oh, I can't wait for my dad to die so I can take over his throne. I don't think Simba was saying he did. It could be taken as that, but I don't think Simba was intent to say it like that.
Oh no, no, he definitely didn't want his dad.
He wouldn't want to hurt his dad.
He wanted him to retire and just hand him the crown.
Yeah, Uncle Scar is the one who killed him, not Simba. Even though everyone seems to blame Simba for it, I'm like, no, he had nothing to do with it.
No, he didn't.
He's a kid. He didn't know what was going on. His uncle masterminded the whole gosh darn thing.
Well, it wouldn't matter anyway because he made it to the top. He probably could have climbed out if Scar didn't, shove him off. So, yeah.
Remember, dug his claws into him?
Yep, I remember. That's why I was defending that it was Scar. It wasn't Simba.
Yeah, which, by the way, that movie turns 30 next year.
Jeez.
Lion King turns 30, for those of you wondering. The original, by the way, not the remake that never happened. But yes, The Lion King, the original, turns 30 next year, which means Carissa feels young again.
Yeah. I just lost 10 years. So
you just lost another 10 years. So Carissa, congratulations. If you want to be on the Lion King special, let us know. We'll put you in. So with that being said, Poddex wants to know a very fascinating thing. The oddest job you ever took to earn a buck.
There's been a few. I was a telemarketer. That was awful. I worked at the zoo for a day. So I'm going to have to say the zoo. Because I mostly was a vet tech for a while. I worked in a lab, and I wore Resident Evil lab coat with an umbrella patch. So, but I'm gonna go with the one day at a zoo. It was just I met a goat that they told me last minute bit through the hand of another handler, and I was like, I'm not gonna come back tomorrow. So yeah, like bit through, like all the way to the other side. So. Yeah.
So when you were wearing the lab coat with the Resident Evil patch on it, do people recognize the pop culture reference, and do they also look at you and say, "You're not building the T virus, are you?"
They did not recognize it, but yeah, it felt like I was. I mean, I didn't work with Dobermans, but I worked in pharmaceutical, and it looked like the basement looked like, and I got trapped in an elevator in the basement, so it did remind me a lot of Umbrella. So
Boy, that's not creepy. By the way, just out of curiosity, though, not counting the animated CGI animated movies, what did you think of the live action ones with Mila Jovovich?
I don't consider any of them Resident Evil. I kind of liked the one with the hell's it called, with Claire Redfield with the red hair, or the second one, was it three? Maybe
Well,
three.
Third one, they're in the desert, and that's where we first meet Claire, I believe.
Yeah. Then the fourth one. I thought that
Fourth
was,
one is Afterlife.
yeah, Afterlife. I actually thought that was decent. See,
Afterlife.
well, I'm mad because from the very beginning, when I saw the preview in the theater, the trailer, the teaser for Resident Evil, I was thrilled because the video game was my favorite. And I had been waiting at that point like 4 or 5 years for this to happen. Then when it came on, there was not one character from my game in your damn movie. And then Mila, who, by the way, I hate for my own personal reasons, because she took all of Claire's scenes. The scene where she runs past the helicopter and it shoots where she goes, that was Claire. I think that was Code Veronica, I think. But yeah, she took all her cool lines. So I only liked it because Claire was in it. Other than that, I mean, when they brought Leon on, who's my favorite character besides Claire, you made him like a lovesick puppy to Ada. No, I don't like any of them. And Afterlife I own and I like, and that's about it. Everything else can literally just go to hell. So
no pun intended. What did you think of the reboot that came out called Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City with Robbie Amell?
Okay, so the only thing I'm going to say about that is they squished too much into one movie. It should have been at least 2 movies, because it was Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 2, and a little bit of Resident Evil 3, all smushed into one. It was very fan service, which I loved, but my husband had no idea what was going on. And so to him, he didn't know anything. And for whatever reason, they switched out 2 of the characters in the alpha and beta team. Like, I don't know why, out of all things, they had Richard in there when he should have been dead by the snake or survived, depending on how you played the game. But I don't know why they did that one thing. But other than that, I mean, I liked it a lot. I just think it was too much in one movie. And I didn't really like Leon's character. They made him stupid. I mean, he was just so dumb in there. I don't know.
It made him stupid. Anyway,
He was just stupid.
I haven't seen the reboot with Robbie Amell, but when I saw the trailer and Robbie and a few other actors I knew from it were in it, I'm thinking, ooh, a reboot with younger actors? Okay, I'm interested.
Yeah, I think it would have. I think it's the best Resident Evil movie out because it was very fan serviced. It was for the fans. I just think that if they had, I don't mind merging 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest complaint is, I don't know why they made Claire and Chris not have a relationship. It was literally the entire reason for all of the games. She was looking for her brother. She loved her brother. He is all she had, and he loved her and would do anything for her. For whatever reason, they weren't even friends in the movie. So why you would do every character pretty much okay, and then take out the one element that drew the 2 characters together? I don't know why you do that. So that lowered its score in my eyes, because Claire and Chris were like the main drive of the game. But as far as picking the characters, the mansion was amazing. They had the first scene with the zombie turning, which was from the game. I mean, that was done beautifully. So it had a lot of good scenes. It had the chick with the chains that was deformed from the remake of Resident Evil 1. I mean, it had a lot of cool things in there. But nothing beats the CGI movies. So if I could make my comic into any animated movie, I would use that art from Resident Evil. Like Death Island. I haven't watched it yet, but I watched parts of it. I did buy it, but the Death Island with all of them together, is freaking amazing with the liquor and everything. So yeah, so I'll stick with the CGI, and I gave up on the live action ones a long time ago.
All right. I don't know if there are plans to make a sequel to Welcome to Raccoon City or not, but
Well, they're all together now, and they had it. I just think they could have done so much better. You know, I just think there was so much. They should have kept the relationship between Chris and Claire the way it's supposed to be. I think that they should have. It's fine if you want to merge the 2, but like, you know, you could have taken parts out to not make it so crazy. So it had a lot of potential. So if I'd see a sequel if they had it, they have one more chance. If they want to do a sequel, I'd watch it.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. If Resident Evil is going to continue in any way, shape, or form, make a sequel to this most recent reboot that did more stuff for the fans than it did the other movies. And let's see Carissa's opinion on that. So the challenge has been thrown out, filmmakers, once the strikes have been fully settled and everyone is happy. Go ahead and make the sequel, bring back that cast, see what this young up-and-coming stars can do about it. Because, I like Robbie Amell. I've liked him since the CW days. So, plus I think the Tomorrow People remake with him as the lead actor on that was criminally underrated. Yeah. So go back and watch that. It's streaming for free on Tubi, the Tomorrow People, the CW version, the remake, I should say. Feel free to stream it because it's really darn good. And Robbie Amell's got some good acting chops, at least in my opinion. But anyway, what is cool is that this has been a wonderful episode of And I Quote. And we can't thank Corissa Grant enough for being patient, very patient, very respectful, and very enthusiastic about all things spooky, kooky, and ooky, and indie comic books, and supporting other people's work. With that being said, Corissa, thank you for being here. If the person watching or listening to this wants to follow you for whatever reason, where can they follow you on social media to keep up to date with all your chaos?
So first and foremost, the best place to find me is Kickstarter. Just search Worthy Chaos. We're the only thing that pops up. We almost always have something live or something in pre-launch. So you can find it, or you can go to theworthychaos.com, which will always go to the latest Kickstarter or pre-launch. And that's the number one place to find me. Also, I'm on Twitter X, which is at worthy_chaos because somebody stole my name. And we have 5.3 thousand followers on there. And we like to share out covers and art and all that stuff and rewards and everything. And also on Facebook, we have a group of about 700 members. And that's Worthy Chaos Redemption Group. And you can also add me, Corissa Grant. I'm one of the people that would have been kidnapped as a kid. I talk to anyone at any time. And if you are a new creator and you need help getting started, I help a lot of new people come in. I'm the unofficial PR person. I have lists of people that have podcasts, such as the amazing Ryan right here. And I like to help people get started because people help me and I'm trying to pay it forward. And I love to see people succeed and I love to read new stories. So yeah, find me in all those things. Just search Worthy Chaos and I'm going to pop up. So.
Well. We thank you for being with us, Corissa. It's been great. Thank you for being so patient because I know patience isn't always an easy thing with you. And you like to be blunt about things, don't you? Gee willikers. So my name is Ryan of Nerd Culture. Feel free to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RyanRPF5. I see her laughing in the background. And also, we are this close to hitting 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. Once we do, we're going to throw a great big live stream celebration that's going to include returning guests such as Corissa Grant and her bluntness. And maybe her sister Lori will want to join in on that chaos. I'm sure Lori's going to want to say hi to some people on there. And we're going to have surprise guests too. We're also going to have some special giveaways for you, our incredible subscribers, such as these prints from the art of John Pinto. If you like these characters, such as Spider-Man or the Green Goblin, like this one right here, these are 11 by 17 prints that you're going to be eligible to win as a special giveaway. We're going to send this right over to your home. So take a look at that. Not only that, we got prints from other fandoms such as Star Trek. They were kind of big in the 80s, weren't they, Corissa? I think they were. I mean, wasn't there a little indie show called TNG? Make it so, number one. Make it so, Mr. Wolf. But this is from Star Trek Strange New Worlds, for those of you keeping up with the shows at home. Also, if you grew up on this fandom and it's been going on for a decade and decade and decades, Doctor Who, you can walk away with this print. Once again, follow the art of John Pinto on Instagram and Facebook. He's a great guy, great prints, great work. So those are the things you're going to be eligible to win. Also, speaking of comic books, Corissa, and the person watching or listening to this, legendary comic writer Mark Waid, who's been in the business for over 4 decades, is going to be with us. He wrote such hit stories as DC's Kingdom Come, Daredevil, The Man Without Fear, as well as many other things. He wrote for Star Wars, he wrote for DC, and a few other properties out, number of other properties. So check him out. He's going to be with us on Thursday, November the 9th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. Legendary comic writer Mark Waid. The reason that myself, and I got into comic books in the first place. Sorry, Corissa, you weren't the one to break the mold for me. Sorry. But Mark Waid is great. Corissa Grant is great. And guess what? So are you who are watching or listening to this. Also, movie anniversary watch-alongs come back in November with The Three Musketeers, Quantum of Solace, and the 30th anniversary of Mrs. Doubtfire, starring the late, great Robin Williams. Look at that, Corissa. Making you feel young again? Hopefully. Anyway, the Nerdy Cantina is all new on Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's where we discuss all things Star Wars. That's right, Star Wars. Nothing but Star Wars. Carissa knows too much. So, yeah. Tune in for that. We got a lot of great things coming your way very, very soon. The Meaning of Fandom, new episodes are going to be coming soon. New episode just dropped the other night. Feel free to check out the Meaning of Fandom playlist on our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. Check it out there. So on behalf of myself and everyone here at Nerd Culture, stay healthy, stay strong, stay safe. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Ring that bell to be notified of when the new videos go up or they go live. Remember, life is better when reading comics, and indie supports indie. Take a look.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
Sweet dreams they blast on me inside my mind. Chance my throat, twist the past, my memories are fading fast. Am I still missed? You understand? Who do you want me to be? You understand? Am I still missed?
Author Cindy Kep is writing on the edge. Books include Remnant in the Stars, The Loudest Actions, Lines of Succession, Mindstorm, Condemned Courier, the Yerushalayim series, and Animal Eye. Find author Cindy Kep at CKOEPP.com today.
Good morning! Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.